This week's edition of Mid-South Television Network is with you. I'm your host, Boyd Pierce, and we have a lot of exciting action. Tag team match headlines the card this week. It'll be Dr. Death Steve Williams and his partner Magnum TA as they take on the rugged duo of Ted DiBiase and King Kong Bundy. North American Heavyweight Champion Hacksaw Butch Reed will be in action. All the top stars are here, including Hacksaw Jim Duggan. You'll see Kamala, the Ugandan warrior, and the outdoorsman, the strong man from the Northwoods of Minnesota, Crusher Dorso. We'll see all of them in action right now. Let's go to the ring for the introduction of the opening event. And the man to tell you about it with us this week, a man who's very active in the Mid-South promotion of professional wrestling in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the knowledgeable Jim Ross.
Well, thank you very much, Boyd. Of course, it's a great pleasure to be back with you fans this week. Matchmaker Grizzly Smith has organized a tremendous card, and it should be a great hour of action for everyone. So let's go to the ring now, and we'll hear from Reisor Bowden in our first match getting into the ring now.
This event is for one fall with 10-minute time limit. In the red corner at 265 pounds from Russia, Boris Zhukov. And in the blue corner at 280 pounds from New York City, Hacksaw Duggan.
Action being introduced now. Folding up his Russian flag is Boris Zhukov, his opponent, who's proud to be from the USA, Hacksaw Duggan. Jim Ross, it looks like Duggan is still suffering from that injury to the rib suffered here last week on Mid-South Wrestling Television.
He certainly is, Boyd, and Jim Duggan, just to show an example of the tremendous intestinal fortitude that he does possess. Many wrestlers will not even venture in the ring after sustaining an injury like Jim Duggan did last week with pulled rib cartilage. A lot of athletes, that lays a lot of athletes up and obviously restricts the breathing, but he's got those ribs taped up and he's out there again against a very, very tough man, Boris Zhukov, and Duggan going right for Zhukov, and Zhukov making a quick exit. And the frustration is very evident on the face of Boris Zhukov because Jim Duggan is starting out just like he started out last week against Hacksaw Butch Reed.
That's one thing about Hacksaw Jim Duggan. He's never been called anything but aggressive.
Oh, that's exactly right. That may be the understatement of the year. Jim Duggan is much more than aggressive, and we can come up with a better adjective for him. Maybe we can relay that to the fans. But Jim Duggan is a man with a mission, and I'll tell you something. He reminds me so much of some of the great stars in their early years of wrestling. I think, Boyd, that we're really seeing a true wrestling superstar. And there you see Zhukov. Zhukov is a veteran. He's got some experience. He's going right after those ribs. He's going to try to take issue with Duggan on those ribs because he does have an advantage right there as far as he knows where there's a weak spot on the armor of Jim Duggan, if you will. Zhukov, a strong individual with that bear hug. And he's got that bear hug firmly entrenched around the ribs, those injured ribs of Jim Duggan, but Duggan fighting right back. Referee Ricky Ferrara examining all the action, and you can bet that he will be aware of the injury to Jim Duggan. Zhukov with that head and shoulder right into those ribs, and another kick right to the ribs. Zhukov with a second kick to the ribs, and now he's coming right back in there, and Duggan attempting to regroup. The right hand, and another right hand right to the jaw. That's three. Jim Duggan taking over on Boris Zhukov. And Zhukov with the knee. And Boyd, I'm just trying to figure exactly how slowed down Duggan is because those injured ribs. They've got to be hurting him a great deal at this time.
Well, he's not at full force, Jim, but he certainly has the courage that we all knew that he had, and he's proving it right now. He throws a tremendous body slam on Boris Zhukov.
Duggan going for that knee drop off the ropes, and Zhukov very capably moved out of the way. And now Zhukov with the body slam. That's going to jar those ribs. A knee right to the chest area. Duggan kicks out a count of one. Duggan with another right hand and a left. I tell you, it's amazing to see the intestinal fortitude, the determination that Jim Duggan possesses week after week right here on Mid-South Wrestling. Duggan down that three-point football stance, and that spear right to the head. That large target, that head of Boris Zhukov, and it was an easy target for Jim Duggan, and the winner of the match, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And boy, another great match here on Mid-South Wrestling.
And another one coming up, Kamala the Ugandan warrior, which means the appearance of Friday and General Skandar Akbar. We'll see them right after this important word.
Wrestling fans, last week right here on Mid-South Wrestling, you saw a tremendous main event that was signed by matchmaker Grizzly Smith. In that main event, just to set the scenario for you last week, it was the battle of the Hacksaws. Hacksaw Jim Duggan against Hacksaw Reed. And if Jim Duggan wins the match, last week if Duggan wins the match, then he gets 5 minutes alone with General Skandar Akbar. The schedule was if Duggan wins, we went to a commercial break, we would come back, and Duggan would have gotten 5 minutes alone with General Skandar Akbar in the ring with no referee. The match transpired. It was a tremendous match indeed. Jim Duggan did win the match, but I think pictures speak louder than words, and for you fans that may not have been with us last week, let's roll the videotape of one of the most exciting moments ever in Mid-South Wrestling. Let's roll that VTR now. Reed sent Duggan into the ropes. Duggan come underneath the clothesline, the attempted clothesline. Now Duggan's trying to take over. Duggan with that double chop, and Reed's knees are wobbly. Reed's down, and Duggan's on top for the 1-2.
Jim, another thing we missed and defended home in the introduction when we didn't get it all underway and said and done, all the matches after this will be standby matches because this is for one fall with television time remaining. Grizzly Smith giving them plenty of time to settle the arguments in the Battle of the Hacksaws.
The referee took a stiff shot right there by Bruce Reed. Now on the concrete he goes. So we've got both men in the ring with no referee. Jim Duggan with a real high backdrop to Reed, and Reed's trying to get to his feet. Reed's a fighter. Reed's a fighter, but look at the football stance. There's that spear, and he got it firmly planted on the skull of Bruce Reed. He's been down. Reed's down for more than 3. Reed's been down for 5 or 6, but there's no referee, and Akbar's blowing a whistle. General Skandar Akbar is coming to the ring, blowing a whistle, and Jim Duggan is unloading on him now. Duggan is unloading on.
And look what answered the whistle, Jim.
Here comes Kamala. And the referee, Ricky Ferrara, comes to the ring. Ricky Ferrara, and there goes the big splash, and they're holding Duggan. Reed and Akbar are holding Duggan, 385 pounds, coming down on Duggan, and now they're turning him over. They're turning Duggan over, 385 pounds for the second rope. They're trying to injure Jim Duggan, and they're doing the job right here. Jim Duggan, all 3 men working on Jim Duggan, but Duggan has won the match by disqualification. In comes Art Cruz. In comes George Weingroff. And out they go as quickly as they came in. The referee's calling for the bell. We have a disqualification. The winner of the match is Hacksaw Jim Duggan. The winner of the match is Duggan, Kamala, and Bruce Reed, and General Skandar Akbar triple teaming Duggan. But Duggan has won the match. But will he be able to continue?
There you viewed the wild battle last week here on Mid-South Wrestling between the 2 Hacksaws. Right now we have Hacksaw Butch Reed in the ring against the up-and-coming star Joshua Stroud. So let's go for the introduction and the ensuing match.